My name is Rachel Gumble. I am a senior in the Gordon Ford College of Business studying accounting. Today, I will be discussing my thesis, which is titled The Federal Prosecution of Al Capone and its Impact on the Evidentiary Evolution of Forensic Accounting. In the 1930s, Al Capone was arguably the most famous mobster of the Prohibition era. His infamy derived from the brutal nature of his operation, and a federal investigation was going on to cease the havoc that he wreaked across Chicago and the nation. However, he was a very intimidating presence, and many people feared that he would retaliate if they participated in the investigation. This stunted the progress of the federal government, and so the Treasury Department was called on to take over the investigation. Their strategy was to unveil the vast amounts of income that Capone failed to report on his tax returns. Through forensic accounting, they successfully did so, leading to the most famous tax evasion case in the legal history of the United States. Since the successful ruling, tax evasion has become a very commonly used way to bring notorious criminals to justice. And so it's important to review the role that forensic accounting played in that investigation to see its evolution as a means of evidence in such investigations. By examining the legal structures in place that allowed for tax evasion to be utilized as a means of conviction, we will see the effectiveness of pre-existing statutes and the impact of superseding cases on allowing for that to take place. Furthermore, key evidence in the examination of those documents is reviewed to determine the role that forensic accounting played in acquiring that evidence and the major takeaways from examining that evidence. Furthermore, multiple landmark court cases are then referenced in a legal chronology. Their citation of the Capone ruling as precedents is also analyzed to determine their opinion on the ruling, as well as what their opinion did to impact the acceptance of tax evasion as a legitimate practice in criminal investigations. By reviewing the events of the Capone investigation, forensic accounting's impact in proving tax evasion is very evident. And through examining preceding court cases, forensic accounting's increased presence in criminal investigations was determined. Forensic accounting has had a great influence on the increasing prevalence of tax evasion as a means of criminal convictions. Furthermore, a union of tax evasion with the legal approach of pretextual prosecution was determined. Pretextual prosecution is when a criminal, such as Al Capone, who is accused of many different crimes, such as murder, is tried on a far lesser crime. So in the case of Capone, tax evasion, because that lesser crime is more easily proven. And so forensic accounting and its impact on tax evasion has then seen an increase in pretextual prosecution. However, many legal scholars critique pretextual prosecution because they say it degrades the integrity of legal precedent and the evidentiary body that is available to investigators. And so, in a sense, tax evasion has been seen as a big influence on that degradation. Moving forward, it is then recommended that investigators and prosecutors make a very extensive effort to acquire evidence to pursue the criminal investigation for the crime actually committed before they default to tax evasion in an effort to maintain integrity in their legal proceedings. I would like to take this time to acknowledge my most cited references in my research. They are presented on my poster. And I would also like to take this time to give a special thanks to my first reader, Dr. Stacy Biebelhauser, as well as my second reader, Dr. Jeffrey Buziak. I'm so grateful for the advice and support that you all have given to me throughout this process, and I really cannot thank you enough. To my audience, thank you for your consideration during my presentation, and I now open the floor to any of your questions.